Join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the 13th episode of the Justice is Here podcast. I am Tracy. I'm going to pay a lot of bills before I let our guest introduce herself, and be mindful of the announcements because there are several of them, but they are all important. Most importantly, visit the Justice for All party at justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us. One more time, it is justiceforall.us. You can learn more about the party, our goals, our mission, how to volunteer, etc. I'm going to leave this next one up for a little bit. So I launched, as you know, when I first started this podcast, I did the $5 challenge. But now Justice for All allows us to have teams. So I established my own team, and our goal is to raise $25,000. And so far we are at $215. That's well short. So if you have, scrape your little change together, a $5 donation will be greatly appreciated. Go to that website, help us to get to that goal to meet the overall work that the Justice for All party is trying to do. Also, subscribe. I'm going to say it one more time. I'll probably say it 18 times tonight. Doesn't matter. I'm going to keep saying it. Subscribe. Subscribing helps us to grow this show, and it is very important to subscribe. Once I figure out how to use TikTok, I will be putting this on clips of this on TikTok. I still haven't quite figured out how to use it just yet, but I'm getting closer. You can follow the Justice is Here podcast on Blue Sky, Instagram, and tonight is the Saturday Hangout. It is immediately following the show. Those who signed up, you already have your link. You should have received them about 3 minutes ago. So it'll be a shorter meeting because I had a very, very busy day. So it'll be about 45 minutes, but come and join us for the Saturday Hangout, where we talk about our issues and what we are going to do about them. And finally, promotion time. My channel is having a fundraiser on May the 2nd, 2025 at 8 p.m. It costs a lot to put this show live on StreamYard, and I wish I did not have to ask for money, but unfortunately, I have to ask for money. I am trying to raise $700 in one night. I still don't know what I'm going to do on that show, but May 2nd is on its way. But I will be live Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go about 2 hours. The goal is to raise $700. The first $600 going towards StreamYard charges. The other $100 going towards bringing the website back. And finally, I got through all of those announcements. Ma'am, you may introduce yourself.
All right. Well, thank you, Tracy. Thanks so much for having me here. I appreciate all your good work. So I'm Barbara Kidney, as my label says. And one of the things I am is that I'm a member of the Justice for All Steering Committee, which is a temporary committee with the mission of setting up a Justice for All National Committee. And I guess I'll leave it at that for now.
Well, that was a whole lot quicker. Usually we get long ones, but that's okay. That's okay. And remember, thank you for checking in, Rue, by the way. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Help us to get it's 50 likes 35 shares. So everybody like this video and then share it to your friends. So I always go back to go forward. And so I'm just going, no, I won't. When Dr. West announced his intentions to run for president, were you there from the beginning or were you a latecomer?
I would say I was there from the beginning, because at the time when I first heard, and I think when, the nation at large first heard that Dr. West was thinking of making the run, I was still associated, I think, with the Green Party, or I had just recently left it. And I heard word from a friend of mine who was and is in the Green Party in a different state than I, that Dr. West, was about to run with the Green Party, and that was exciting news. And I had heard that if I got the chronology right, that before that, he was planning to make a run with the People's Party. And I'd been peripherally involved with People's Party as well when it was up and coming. So, I had that information. And, and then I also heard that he could not run or would not run with either of those parties and was going independent. And I decided to back him, on that run in my own little way, by helping to collect signatures in my area and participating in some of the campaign calls and so on.
What state are you in?
I am in New York State. I am in upstate New York, which is
So we have something in, well, my sister lives in New York.
Oh.
New York, there are 3 states where it's very difficult to get third-party candidates on a ballot. New York, Texas, and Indiana.
Uh-huh.
Those 3 states are the hardest states. Indiana, just because I live here, just the most backwards. We have to hope for a low turnout vote because we go by 2% of the Secretary of State's vote. So we have to actually hope for something we don't want, which is low voter turnout. And of course, Jill Stein, she actually collected 50,000. Let me backtrack. The required signatures this year or in 2024 was 37,963. Yes, I still know that number. She got 50,000, and conveniently, somehow they just threw out just enough to get her right under there. I don't know how that happened, but
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say, typically the Democratic, I'm not saying the Democratic voters, I don't mean that, but the people in charge of elections who are Democrats typically challenge Green Party signatures. They just make all kinds of objections to them. It happens here in New York, so I'm guessing it maybe in Indiana as well.
And of course, our campaign didn't come anywhere near close. But I talk about signature gathering because, our goal is to run a candidate in 2028. So we're basically going to have to do this unless the laws just miraculously change, which it doesn't look like that's going to happen with this dim-witted image. Okay, see, I got to hold off on saying I got to like to curb myself because I just really go off about this current administration. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. It doesn't look like the Democrats want it to happen. So we're going to have to go through this again. And I don't know how well you did. You probably a lot better than me. I am not geared to go out and collect signatures. I have to do it because that's what it takes to get on the ballot. But I'm like, what was like the biggest objection that you ran into?
From collecting signatures from people?
Yes.
Well, I didn't run into hardly any at all. Isn't that amazing?
Why couldn't I be you? I didn't bring you to Indiana. We ran into people that said they didn't want third parties at all. Like literally told us, we don't want third parties. We're just satisfied with the 2-party system. I'm like, do you hear what you're saying? Then we was like, well, we can't afford Trump. Guess what we got? We got it all. I mean, we got it every objection you could come up with. People were, and we're like, we just want his name on the ballot. That's it. We just want his name on the ballot. And somehow they equated that with a vote. So I'm always curious when people gather signatures, what was their experience? You had a better experience than I did.
Well, I tell you, where I went to go fishing for signatures were typically the rallies for Palestine, the anti-genocide of Gaza rallies. So the pump was already primed in a way. I went to rallies, and one of them, the leader is saying, does anybody have any announcements? And I raise my hand, and I'm here collecting signatures for Cornel West, and he goes right on, and directs everybody my way. So, I had those wonderful experiences. I had a few other occasions where I was in various places, like library screenings of films done by Palestinians, in favor of Palestinian rights. The Palestinians are humans. And a couple of people declined. One was not a citizen, so that's perfectly okay. But, a couple of people from out of state, you need to get signatures from people who are registered voters in the state. But then there were the few people, and one of them is even a beloved family member, not my husband, I'll clear my husband's name, but someone else whom I will not mention by name, who would not, he was very aversive to it, even though I know he's like a progressive person in general. But again, this fear, the Trump fear, which I think is orchestrated, right? I don't think this is an accident. I think this is at the higher levels of the Democrat, Republican, plutocrat, billionaire level. This is all orchestrated as a puppet show. We have the Godzilla versus King Kong match every election, be afraid of the other one, and so you have to vote for King Kong or you have to vote for Godzilla, because if you don't, the other bad guy will get in, and there's no way you can vote for, for Wonder Woman or Superman. You have to vote for the bad guy. And I've come across that repeatedly.
Exactly. And you all know, because Barbara, get ready, because at some point in this show, I'm going to go off on a rant. It'll happen. I don't know when. I don't know what'll trigger me, but I just go on this rant about how the Democratic Party especially plays in our face. And my frustration, and this is actually leading to a question. When you tell people, well, the two-party system stinks, they're like, yeah, it does. And then you say, hey, I got this great third-party candidate that you could also vote for. Well, he can't win. But he can't win if you don't vote for him. I don't understand where, like I said, I'm not a great communicator. And I wish I could just say, look, you've done this. It's not working. Do this instead.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've been banned from I've been banned from listservs where you think I would not be banned for holding the position that it's not a good idea to be voting for a known genocidist, no matter what party they're coming from, or, a known pro-fracking person, or a known plutocrat, regardless of what their party is. So I've been banned in a listserv associated with the American Psychological Association, wait for it, Division of Peace Psychology, for taking the position that it's heartbreaking that any peace psychologist would knowingly vote for a genocidist, even if she is a brown lady Dem. To me, that's obscene. I've seen anybody does it, but especially a brown woman doing it.
I really struggled with my Black Democratic friends because I kept saying, when did you all become okay with apartheid? That's what Israel is doing. Did we meet at the cookout and say, hey, let's all go for that apartheid? You cannot tell me, here comes rant, semi-rant. You cannot tell me, I'm just like, when was it? You can't just overlook somebody. Well, she's Black. Well, she's Jamaican. Because I'm not going to say she's not Black. Look at her features. She definitely has Black features. But it's going to take a little bit more than that for me to say, you know what, I'll vote for you.
Yeah.
And I think the Democratic Party, they use race to crush the Black community, especially the Black community. I know there's other marginalized communities, the rainbow community, the Asian community, but I'm not any of those. I'm Black, so I'm going to talk about the Black perspective on this.
Mhm.
I got so tired of hearing, well, Tracy, you're just disappointing the Black people by voting for West, even though clearly Cornel West is Black. I mean, and his running mate is Black. I'm like, well, no, because he's against. You got to work within the system. No, the system is terrible. You have to work against this. Oh, Barbara, help me. Why am I not communicating well? I'm just like,
Oh, you are. I think we both were communicating well. I think we ran into closed minds. Another thing I could have said in my introduction, I suppose, is that professionally, for gosh, I don't even know how long anymore, probably over 35 years, I've been a psychologist. So I know a little bit about, cognitive impairments. There's both software and hardware cognitive impairments, so to speak, meaning that something wrong with cellular functioning in the brain, or the thoughts, that one can get into the habit of not examining one's own logic, and one can be trapped in or overly stuck in a fight, flight, freeze reaction, which is real handy if the fire alarm rings, we got to flee the building, but is not handy for thinking about who to vote for and things like this. But I'm just saying that, that fear and anger and hate and all these things can turn on a person's fight, flight, freeze mechanism, and it makes it really more difficult to think. But like you, I am amazed. I'm amazed that
I'm just like, but wait a minute, huh? What? And then it's like, I'm like, I got to be an anomaly. It's got to be just me. It's got to be something I'm saying, something the way I'm saying it. I'm like, the system is awful. All you have to do is stop voting for them. That's it, and vote this way. And people actually like, yeah, I agree with Dr. West's platform, because I talked about the platform. I tried to stay away from, well, he's running as an independent, so I just talked about the platform. Yeah, I agree with that, but it's not going to happen. But how can it happen if you don't? It was just so frustrating. I wish, what is that called? Since you said you have background in psychology, when a person admires their oppressor.
Oh, the Stockholm syndrome, maybe?
That's it. that is. I promise Democratic voters have that, because I'm just like, how are you all okay with genocide? You were literally telling me, go in the booth. Oh, yeah, she's going to give Israel everything they need. And you want me to vote for this because what?
I've also heard the other side of the coin. Back in October, I initiated, and with a bunch of other great people, put on a fundraiser for Delia Arts of Palestine. That is a local Palestinian group, running for its life, basically, whose mission it is to promote musicianship and trauma healing through music. So we did this back in October, and people, came in and performed for the fundraiser. And one of them is, kind of at least a friendly acquaintance of mine, who is like myself, a white woman, but she is clearly lesbian, and and makes no bones about that. Promotes lesbianism and so on, or promotes rights, rights to everybody, including for lesbians. And she's telling me voting for and I'm like, what? We were just at this fundraiser, type of thing. And no, because if Trump wins, he's going to come for me, and there's some truth to that. But what are you saying? Like, you're going to throw the Palestinians under the bus just to keep yourself comfortable here in America? I don't understand. There's that. And another.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was going to say another important piece of this, I think, maybe, a simple way to respond to people that a third party can't win is to say, oh, they certainly could. Absolutely, they could. All it takes is more than 33% of, the voters voting for number 3, and they will get in. That's all it takes.
Yeah, and that's where and I'm going to get to the comments, because we got some comments coming, but
okay,
before I get to them, I'm just like, especially to what I call the Black delegation. That's what I call my people, the Black delegation. I'm just sitting here like, please tell me, and I'm going to repeat myself. When did we become okay with apartheid? Did you not see what happened in the 80s when Nelson Mandela was in prison for apartheid? You didn't see how did that, like, how? Just because somebody is Black does not mean, hey, I'm going to vote for him. Now, I happen to vote for Cornel West, not because I didn't vote for Dr. West because he's Black. I voted for Dr. West because his platform was literally the best platform that I've ever read. I've never seen a platform that talked about ending homelessness, $27 living wage, not minimum, living wage, community banks, addressing the gun issue. Like, I've never seen a platform like that. Now, yes, he happens to be Black, but that's not the reason. It's like the Democrats wanted us to vote for Harris because she was Black and just forgot all about this little thing called a platform. It's like they just totally messed that up. Well, just vote for her because she's Black. Well, it's going to take a little bit more than that for me.
Yeah. Well, same here in terms of the woman angle. You know, like,
I forgot that one.
We had that
because she lost. Well. She lost because of racism and sexism. Those are the two reasons she lost. Not Gaza, not the economy, not immigration. It was because she was Black and female.
Oh, and let's not forget hanging out with Halliburton and the Cheneys and greenlighting fracking.
Exactly. I'm like, yo, that's not a flex, her going around with Liz Cheney. I think they thought that was a flex. A flex means, y'all, that it looks like, oh, this is a good thing. I know, Barbara, you know what it is, but some people may not know when I say, well, that's a flex. It was not a flex for her. No, I wouldn't. She's like, I'm proud to have their endorsement. Really? 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 Dick Cheney, who's responsible, has a huge responsibility in killing people and boy, I get all my wars confused because we're in so many.
I
was like, was it Afghanistan
or Iraq?
I'm like, wait a minute, which one? But you know where I'm getting to, right? He was responsible for killing over 1 million people.
Yeah.
Over 1 million. And you're saying you're proud to have this? What?
Yeah.
It's like, and this is what I tell people about the Justice for All Party, and we're going to move there eventually. We don't treat our supporters like they're stupid. I am so tired of the Republican and Democratic parties treating their supporters like they're stupid. They just sit here and just say the stupidest things. Married women who change their last names may not be able to vote. Who's ever heard of some foolishness like this? Who's ever heard of having judges arrested because they disagree with your... What? And voters are like, yeah, this is good. It's not good, America. It's not good. And you can go ahead and comment. That's not a question. That's just a...
Okay, well, I thought you were looking at the comments, so I was giving...
Yeah, I am because it's a couple of them. I do that all the time, but just know that I'm looking at them. So we do have comments, as Barbara stated. Hello, cousin Nelson. Do not feel bad, Barbara and Tracy. I live in Staten Island, New York, home of the Trumpers, who were mostly one-track minded.
Well, at least you're not having to put up with the Democrats.
Yes. Hello, Thea's complex issues don't have simple solutions. This isn't the world we live in, but I'm sure the people of Gaza appreciate the moral line so many drew from the comfort of pre-Trump America.
I'm not understanding that one.
Yeah, I think I know what he means because I know Thea's, but I want him to explain it so that Barbara can get it also. So Nelson says what hurts me the most about Cornel West not winning the presidency is that Israel is still killing innocent Palestinians under Trump. Those were lives that didn't have to die if Cornel West were You know, that's absolute. Yep. Nelson always says what I'm thinking, and I don't have the ability to say in a way that's comprehensible. That is like I think I'm like, what would have happened if Dr. West had won? Well, I know first thing, I would get on Facebook and just started clowning every single. I'm like, yep, see, look, what you gonna do now? What you gonna do now? See, that's me. That's probably why he didn't win, because the guy don't like ugly. But that's the first thing I would do. Then, of course, we got to get, of course, the 1,500 lawsuits that would have been filed, because Democrats and Republicans would have been just angry. But I'm like, say what you will about Trump. And people are like, well, how's Dr. West going to govern? I was like, executive orders. Well, he can't do that. Well, that's pretty much what Trump and Biden did. That's literally what they did. They just used executive orders.
Well, yeah, and Obama too. Obama was killing people by fiat, Terror Tuesdays. People who are living in their own countries, going to their own town hall meetings, were being bombed by our drones under Obama.
See, but he's black though, so I have to support him. You can't say that because that's racist. Oh my gosh, people. You cannot, y'all got to stop this. Y'all got to stop this. Stop it.
Well, I will also note that the only time President Obama apologized for a drone death was when Italian people were murdered by drone. I mean, they're kind of swarthy, but they're still sort of Caucasian. But when they're brown, or black, it's always terrorists they kill. It's like when a witch is burned, she's always a witch, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But I kind of want to move to this, and I've never had this discussion before. I contend that the media has a huge part of why Dr. West couldn't get more support. Because I felt like, look, people, look at his platform. Just look at his platform. This is what you need. And I don't feel like, especially in so-called independent media, I can look at corporate media side-eyed and be like, well, okay, they're going to do what they're going to do, not give him any airtime. But the criticism that he got from independent media, I'm just sitting here like, are y'all serious with this?
Well, you had to fill me in there because I wasn't following what you were following, Tracy.
Well, because I don't want to call people's names because everybody's got more subscribers than I do. I mean, literally, everybody's got more subscribers than I do. But there were some I thought, well, I can name one, Jimmy Dore. He's like, well, you shouldn't talk about race. Well, Dr. West has been talking about race for over 40 years. He's not going to just stop.
Racism is a bit of a problem, eh?
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? I mean, he's a good example, but there's some others. I'm like, people, oh my gosh, I get so frustrated because when I see people being destroyed, it's like, I'm trying to save people from a fire, and they just want to stay. They want to stay in the burning house, and I'm trying to like take them outside of the burning house, and they want to just keep running right back to it. It's like stop.
Right.
It's like what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm trying to help you, and I think I don't know because you mentioned being with the Green Party used to be, and I'm going to get to that because I ask people all the time who say that why they left, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But when and I don't know if this happened to you all or when you were meeting with people, talk about how difficult the morale was to keep up. Because I don't think that's... Yes, your morale or the morale of other petition seekers.
Well, I didn't really have a problem with that. I mean, I've been used to, back in 2008, I left the Democratic Party. I threw my vote away on Al Gore. I regret.
I'm so sorry for you. I voted for Hillary, so I'm like, oh, Tracy. If I could build a time machine and go back in time.
Yeah, so I mean, I voted for Ralph Nader. I mean, I didn't vote for Ralph Nader. I voted for Al Gore, you know. But anyway, during the Bush years, I too had the hope, the false hope, as experience has proven, false hope that the Democratic Party, would save America, or there was enough decency within the Democratic Party leadership that that it could do right things by this country and by the world. And at that time, I think it was 2008, Dennis Kucinich from Ohio, congressperson, was running. And I actually saw him in person once at a relatively small meeting, but I've kind of followed him a bit. So I was hoping to vote for him in the primary. And by the time primary comes to New York, the primary is pretty much over for the rest of the country. So Dennis Kucinich had been eliminated, and it was like basically Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and I don't remember who else, maybe Biden, I don't remember. So I had my doubts about Barack Obama. He seemed to me to be a demagogue, like somebody who's good with making speeches, but what else? I'm a little leery. But anyway, I decided I would vote for Barack Obama in the primary, and then I voted for him in the main election. And then very quickly I saw what happened. Like, one of his first speeches is like, we have to surpass China in math education. To me, that's not the highest priority. And I don't believe in being competitive about intellectual things. Everybody should be intellectually.
I agree. I'm so glad you said that, because I hate the idea of standardized testing. You're taking one test. There's one test. And somehow if you fail it, you're inadequate. Well, no, there's several different types of learning.
Well, that's right. And, and I don't want to be holding the Chinese people back or anyone else, let them excel in everything, let us also excel in what we can excel in. It's not a win-lose situation. That's crazy. So anyway, of all the things in the world, that's what he's focusing on. And, and then he goes to reform healthcare, and he makes it be so that we all have to buy crappy health insurance, big bucks, big deductibles, big copays, and limited coverage, and now we have the Luigi Maggioni trial coming up, the rest, as they say, is history. So that was, Barack Obama's grand thing. And then he goes with DARK Act, persecution of Edward Snowden, surveillance of everybody all the time, and drones, killer drones. And the word on the street is like, oh, they just get the bad guys, and our boys and girls in blue, or don't have to be, putting their lives in danger.
That's
Barbara,
the word. They made it hard for him because he's Black. It's all because he's. I did it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. The white of putting my own danger of putting my own DNA down. Maybe he was white on the inside. What can I say? Or plutocrat on the inside.
What did Dr. West say? He said Black faces in high places.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Obama was. That's what Jim Clyburn is. That's what Harris was. It's just so, I think for me, is another reason why I do this type of show is because I want to show people there is another path that you can walk down. You don't have to keep voting for two. People say the lesser of two evils. Well, if you have this evil, and I take this one away, this is still evil. This is still evil. You still have evil. Why not vote for the greater good?
Well, absolutely. That was, of course, one of Jill Stein campaign's mottos. But anyway, vote for the greater good. Yeah, but it's so ridiculous, right? We're going to do count. Was just going to kill this many thousands of people, and this one, one or two less. Okay, we vote for that one then, rather than somebody who doesn't want to murder anyone and wants well-being for all. It's just insane. Genocide is an absolute deal breaker.
That was it for me. I'm like, I don't care if she was for Medicare for all, which she was, and then changed. I don't want to get into that, but it wouldn't have mattered. Genocide, it was just it. I'm like, nope, that's not it. Okay, so we got some more comments over here, and I want you to address this one because I see where he's going, but I strongly have to say I disagree. So Thea says that Dr. West's campaign wasn't successful because he did not have a governing strategy, weak messaging, changing parties mid-cycles, or why Dr. West didn't get more traction. Give us a better option than two parties, and you'll get more votes.
Mm-hmm. You want me to comment on that?
Yes, I do want you to comment on it.
Okay. Can you put that up again for me? So if possible. Yeah. Well, I do think we have a better option than the two parties, and I think you already have that. And I think, frankly, Jill Stein uh, um, or certainly Cornel West. I'm trying to think of the
Claudia de la
Claudia.
Cruz.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, yeah, certainly the big three, right? And anybody of those three would have been way better, way better than either Kamala Harris or certainly Donald Trump. No governing strategy. I'm not sure what he means by that, like no governing strategy within the party or the campaign, maybe. I don't know. Weak messaging.
I think he means it's like once he was president, how was he going to govern?
I don't know if that's what he means. Maybe he can type more in.
Yeah, maybe because like I said, I know he is, and I'm 99 because I've heard him make this criticism before. I'm almost certain that he's been critical of Dr. West's. How's he going to govern once he gets that office? Because he's not going to have. He's going to have all of these legislators. He's going to have the House against him. He's going to have the Senate against him because they're full of Democrats and Republicans.
Well, I don't know. I think he'd be calling. If that's what the idea is, I would say that somebody like Cornel West, if he were president, could certainly propose legislation that the Democrats ought to be going for if they're true to their messaging. So he'd be calling their bluff, basically. I think it'd be really difficult for some Democrats, to pretend that they're progressive if they're not going for progressive legislation and cooperating with a person like Dr. West if he were president. So I would say that. I don't know what's weak about the messaging. I don't see the messaging as having been weak. So without further explanation, I can't relate to that myself. Changing parties mid-cycle. I wasn't mid-cycle when Dr. West changed. What shall I say? From my on the ground grassroots little person means of being involved with People's Party and Green Party, I knew it was not a good idea to get involved with People's Party. Green Party, I think Dr. West probably found out what a number of us have found out about the Green Party. It has great platform, great vision, but the leadership is too dysfunctional. I'm not saying every leader of the Green Party is dysfunctional, but there's too many of them who are, and so they shoot themselves not only in the foot but usually in the abdomen as well.
Yeah, and so now I'm going to answer. So you pretty much, I am never going to say, oh, I'll never vote green. Because when I left, it was for a specific reason. I left because I'm like, where's the black policy? I didn't see it. Maybe it's there, and I just didn't know where to look. And people say, oh, well, they're for reparations. I'm like, okay, that's great. You can be for something, but do you advocate for it? And I felt like the Green Party did not advocate for my liking. Now, does that mean the Green Party's terrible? No. There are some great people in the Democratic Party, but that doesn't mean we can't form the Justice for All Party, right? We need as many parties as we can give. America should have more than two options when voting for president. It should not just be Democrat, Republican. It should be, you should have as many options as you do when you're going to buy bread. It should just be like a proliferate, like a whole list of candidates, and you have to sit there and think, who am I going to vote for? But that's just me. That's how I think. Oh, yeah. See, I knew this is what these was thinking. No governance strategy equals having no congressional support. All opposition. And executive orders are easily defeated by Congress and the courts. I knew that's where he was going to go with. Because if you say, because I'm like, I say there's this thing called the bully pulpit. I haven't seen a president use it yet, but there's this thing of talking directly. Remember back in the day when the president would have like a weekly address and they would just talk to people and be like, hey, this is what I want. Do that.
Yeah, fireside chats.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Now, I'm old because I'm
Mhm.
over 40. To some people, that's old. It's really not.
Oh.
But I remember when Ronald Reagan was doing that.
Well,
I
Jimmy Carter did it too.
Yes, and I'm like, you could literally just talk to people.
Mhm. Mhm.
You could use this thing called the bully pulpit. It
Mhm.
actually does work.
Mhm.
It can work.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think there's some legislation that the Democrats and would readily go for that would also fit the Justice for All party. Certainly people's rights and voting rights and so on and so forth. Even Gaza. I mean, my goodness, people like Rashida Tlaib, and some of the um, people in Congress they're not all terrible.
See, now that's where we're gonna differ.
Okay, you think they're all terrible, Tracy?
I'm just like primary.
Mhm.
I see
Mhm.
435 primaries that need to be on the way.
Mhm.
I'm counting my own legislator because that's what I would start with. Who's at home? No town hall. One town hall meeting that we found out about 2 days before. No, we found out after the town hall meeting happened,
Mhm.
and it was by Zoom, and it was poorly distributed. And I'm like, no, I think there should be 435 primaries going on. Primaries them
Mhm.
all, run against them all. That's again
Mhm. Mhm.
just me.
Okay.
Nelson, I want to thank you for this comment. Others might have more subscribers than you, Tracy, but they don't have the principles and the morals that you possess. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Thank you, sir, so very much.
Mhm.
See, that's the kind of compliments I need to make me feel better because I'm like, I don't criticize people. But
Mhm.
okay, he says very few Democrats even bother to pretend to be progressives.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I see a lot of pretending to be aggressive in my
I
neck of the
know
woods.
Hakeem Jeffries tries it. I'm like, dude, sit down somewhere. Is he your legislator by any chance?
Who?
Has Hakeem Jeffries your congressperson?
No, no. My congressperson, I can tell you I can tell you stories. Currently, it's Josh Riley, Democrat. Prior to that, it was Pat Ryan, Democrat. And what they do in my district is, congressperson changes every 2 years. They redo the districting every 2 years. So people like me, we don't know what district we're
Oh
in.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That one too, yeah.
I did not. I forgot all about that. But I want to move into briefly describe the work that you're doing for the Justice in your current role on the Justice for All Steering Committee. Kind of briefly describe what it is that you're doing.
Okay. Well, the other, was it 19 official members plus observers like Ms. Tracy here, um, we meet once a week on a Saturday, and we do what we need to do, which is basically develop a charter and a set of bylaws for the National Committee, which is in formation. I mean, it hasn't formed. We're trying to set up the initial charter for the party and then the initial bylaws for the National Committee. And that's what we're doing. And I guess a real important point that I find it important is the Justice for All party is really striving to, and I think succeeding at, really being justice for all. So even interpersonally within our group, we strive to treat each other with justice. And I say it's working. And I've been in many groups that are like crazy, like, my peace psychology group where you had to be kind of for genocide by them. But, here it's really justice. And so people have different ideas. Of course, we're not, we're different individuals, and it's respected. Ideas are respected, people are respected. There's camaraderie, there's goodwill, good vibe, and it just kind of promotes itself. It's easy to be friendly, it's easy, but it's also easy to speak your mind and say, no, I don't agree with that because of this and that, and then have productive dialogue, not just ping pong back and forth, but productive dialogue to come up with a better idea. And that's what we do, and it's awesome.
What made you want to be a part of the steering committee?
Okay, well, I got the invite in the mail, in the email.
I think everybody did. I'm like, Because there's a specific reason I was like, nah,
No,
because
well, you're there and you're
I'm
doing
an
it.
observer. See, there's a difference between a steering committee member and an observer. And I haven't talked about that yet because as an observer, I'm just there. I'm just like,
Mhm.
okay,
Well, I do think that if you care to, Tracy, yourself and anybody else who's in the observer status, can raise the hand and say something. Don't sit on good ideas. I mean, you just cannot vote, right? At least for now, not until the national committee is formed. Just because we didn't, want to have new people coming in like every meeting as we meet week. It's too much to bring everybody up to speed. I think that was the thinking behind that. Um, and so we just capped the voting members. But I think you'd be welcome. I mean, I'm always happy to hear what you have to say.
but I don't have anything to say because you all are so thorough. I'm just and to be honest, because I think you have pretty much picked up. I have no patience. I'm just like, look, 2026 is coming. We need to be hitting the ground running, getting candidates ready. Let's go. Let's go. I'm always like, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
And that's why we want you to run for Congress, Tracy.
See, we got to stop this run for Congress stuff. Okay. So I'm going to explain for the 19,000th time why I do not want to run for Congress. My congressman is Andre Carson. No relation to me, but we just happen to have the same last name. There is no way I will beat a man that in every election he's ran in, he's gotten at least 70% of the vote. He's never gotten under 70%. Never. Never, ever, ever. It's just somebody, I have no chance. And I feel like if I were going to run, and I'm not running, I'm telling you now, I'm not running for office. If I were going to run, it'd probably be Senate, like as a U.S. Senator. Because Indiana has 2 Republican senators that are just trash. They're basically trash. They are trash. And the Democrats, I actually did vote for one Democrat who's going to be a part of the Black voter forum that I'm doing in June. But she was like literally the only Democrat I voted for. And the party was just like, well, no money in her campaign. And she's for Medicare for all. She's for, she doesn't support Israel. I mean, like she's right where I am. So it made it easy for me to vote for her. So I felt like, she faced such a hard uphill battle as a Democrat. It would be harder for me because I would not run as a Democrat. There's no conscionable way I'm going to run as a Democrat, which means I'm going to have to go out and get petitions and have people all over the state. I don't see it, y'all. I know y'all keep saying it, and I don't see it. But if I were going to do it, it would have to be. I just can't see myself running for Congress. I just think I would lose, and I would lose big. I would lose big. Yeah. And Senate is just if I didn't have to collect the signatures, I'd do it in a minute. I would be like, yep, I do it. Like, hey, let's go. And then there's the thought of running for Secretary of State so Indiana can get ballot access. So there's other options. But again, y'all got to stop this Tracy running for office thing. She doesn't want to do it. She does not. Because Tracy will say whatever's on Tracy's mind and will not apologize. If you think Trump is bad, no, I'm worse. I just don't offend
but you're working for the good.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I'm a loudmouth, sarcastic person. I just don't. I don't see it. I do not see it. But I make one great campaign manager. I think I could do that easily.
All right.
Anybody that's running for Justice for All, if you need a campaign manager, yes, I will absolutely do that.
All right.
But Tracy's got to stop y'all from saying she should run for office because she don't want to. She knows she gonna lose, and when I know I'm gonna lose, I'm like, But again, thank you for the compliment, because you're not the
Okay.
first person. You're not the second person. You're not even the
Mm,
third person.
maybe the 13th. I don't know.
Y'all know, yes, it's been that way. It started off with Israel. I'm like, y'all just gonna keep this going. So we got more comments here. Being serious, where is Dr. West's YouTube channel with the fireside chats? Actually, he does have a YouTube channel and he has a daily podcast. I don't know the address, but he does have that. With the fireside chats or any third party selling themselves to a wider public, people are desperate for an alternative, which, okay, I agree with that. But I do believe that Dr. West has his own YouTube channel. I just don't know the address.
Okay.
Sell the why and how we're listening.
Well, I would put it back on you, with that comment. Why do you think we should keep just going with duopoly here?
No, I think what he's saying is he wants us to tell him how we think we're going to win.
Oh, how we think we're going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well,
for myself, for speaking for me.
Now, Barbara 2026, Barbara Kidney 2026. Now she want to put me out here for office. I'll do the same thing. I'll turn this whole thing around.
Well, I did run for state assembly back in 2020 on the Green Party ticket. So there, I've served my time. But yeah. So in terms of, selling us on the third party, and you're saying like we shouldn't be doing it unless we know we're going to win. Is that kind of?
Well, my thing is I can't see myself. This is Tracy. This is my opinion. There are other ways to win. But see, there's this little problem I have. It's called competition, and I thrive on it. So if I'm in it, if I'm in this thing, I'm going to win this thing.
Okay.
And if I can't win this thing in terms of getting more votes than the other person, I don't want any parts of it. Now, yes, there's other ways to win, bringing out issues, but me, I'm kind of like, nah, I'm tired of hearing that. I want to win. I want to win. And that's probably another thing about me people aren't going to like, because I'm like, I'm not going to just waste my time, especially being somebody that's gotten 70%. I literally have no chance. I have no chance of getting publicity. I have no chance of getting it. I can't see it happening. Because if I was going to do it, I would have to be doing it now.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I also think, one way of looking at what you're saying is that you don't, maybe you're somebody who doesn't want to be wasting your time and energy on like a lost cause.
Yeah, especially like I said, if he was at like 50% or 40%, oh, I'm in. Count me in. I'm ready. Let's go get those signatures and go. But 70,
yeah. Well, I think it's important for our party to be out there to form itself and publicize itself, and just to refute some of these memes. Like just kind of keep it simple. I could be simple too and complex, but keep it simple. That a third party candidate can win. All it requires is that you lift your finger at the voting booth, and vote for that candidate if they're on the ballot, or write them in if they're not. There's only a couple of states that do not allow for write-ins. So here in New York, I wrote in Dr. Cornel West's name because,
And what was the amount of signatures you all had to have? I thought it was like some unreasonable number. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was, I don't know, like north or south of 100,000, something like that. I used to know, but it just has gone.
Yeah, and I still know our number. I'm just like, yep, know it. Yep, know it.
But you know what? We the Green Party and Justice for All Party, with the two candidates, Jill and Cornel, we exceeded the threshold. And that's the thing, if Dr. Stein had dropped out, if we had only one such candidate, we would have made the cutoff. And it's really unfortunate that.
And I think what's worse is states like Pennsylvania, where Dr. West actually had the number of signatures required, and they still said, nah, I'm like,
Well,
okay.
yeah. Well, that's typical. We got to be expecting that. That will happen like all the time. They will contest every signature that they can possibly contest, and part of the reason they'll do that is so that, number one, you get off, hopefully, but number two, if you don't get off, you the third party will spend money you don't have just trying to contest this one thing. They will
And
drain
that's
you financially.
right. That's the whole, and I'm going to read your comment here, Thais, in a second. That's their whole thing. If they can keep you in court, then you can't spend that money like building, like getting volunteers out there to knock on doors. So
Mhm.
keep you in court, make your resources go there instead of campaign outreach.
Oh, of
So
course. Yeah, that's what it's for.
yeah.
So if you like that complex mind, simple man, you keep voting Democrat or whoever you're voting for, because that's what will happen. Um, you know, I don't know how you vote for harm reduction and vote for duopoly. That's not possible. That's illogical.
So yeah. Oh, so you already read it. I kind of, and of course, Thais is well, he says I'm his younger sister, even though I'm like 6 years older than him. But hearing him explain it, I'm like, yeah, I see where you're going, but here's the problem. If you always vote for harm reduction, you're never gonna get like there's an issue that I care about above anything, and that's Medicare for all. I don't care if you're running for dog catcher, nose scratcher, governor, president. If you're not for Medicare for all, I will not vote for you. I will not do it. I will not consider it. I don't care. Whatever you say, if you're right on every other thing and you get down to Medicare for all and you say, I'm not for, you just lost my vote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to vote for somebody who isn't for my principles because they're not the other person and they'll cause less harm. I don't get that. Now, if you want to explain that, because I know you will, because you'll probably message me, be like, well, this is what I'm talking about. Please do, because I don't understand how that helps me, because we're in this cycle where we're literally voting for terrible people. Like
Yeah.
they're terrible.
Yeah, I think there's a point where a thing is a deal breaker. And I don't know, I don't see any harm reduction, Kamala versus Donnie Boy myself. They're both harmful. They're both terribly, terribly harmful. So harmful that neither one be up there.
And if you look at what Trump is actually doing, he's just continuing the Biden policies in terms of Israel. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Now it's just like, yeah, we'll take it over.
And at least there's resistance to it. If Kamala's in, she could do what she wants with Gaza, and then there'll be the hand wringing. Oh, it's so sad that they're dying, but what can we do? Or here's more.
We want them to be less casualties, not none. Not hey, let's stop. I'm going to quote Nick, and I'm going to move on to the next question. Nick said she could have at least lied and said that she was going to reduce funding. She didn't do that. She was like, I'm going to give them everything they need. I want the most lethal military. I'm like, you're saying this with your whole... She said it with her chest. Like, she was like, yep, I want our military. I'm like, she's saying that with her whole chest. Like, she's proud of this statement. Sit down. But, of course, it was racism and sexism, because that's why she...
Well, there might have been some of that too. I mean, I'm not denying it personally, many reasons, but I think she deserved to lose because of her pro-genocide, pro-fracking, pro-plutocracy stances.
I refuse to buy into that argument. Now, is there some people that won't vote for a woman because she's a woman? Probably. But when survey after survey says there were 3 issues, and she failed on all 3 of them: Gaza, the economy, immigration. Terrible on economy, terrible on Gaza, terrible on the economy. It wouldn't have mattered if the Democrats ran Gavin Newsom. It wouldn't have mattered if they ran Gretchen Whitmer. It wouldn't have mattered who they ran. They were going to lose because they sat by for 4 years when they actually could have, been for the railroad workers striking. Like, see, they could have supported that, but instead made them go back to work. voted against the $15 minimum wage and then blamed the parliamentarian. So when they were actually in power, didn't do anything, and then just expected, I'm going to vote for you because Trump bad. Well, I already knew he was bad, but you're not any better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm going to get this one, and I promise I'm going to get the question. Dr. West's position would have still doomed Gaza and Ukraine. Either him or Harris would not have instituted fascism. I say Joe Biden is fascist, but that's just my opinion. But pick your poison. And saying there's no difference between Harris and Trump. There is no, there is little difference between Harris and Trump in terms of their policies. They're for expanding the military industrial complex. They both take money from APEC. They both screw over the poor. I don't see anything like really different. Now, maybe, you see it and I don't see it, because I'm literally like, okay, they're almost exactly identical.
Yeah, well, I see a difference in that Harris would promote herself as being progressive. And if she were in power, doing her thing and, giving more money to Israel for weapons and promoting fracking and promoting killer agriculture and being friends with Monsanto and, and not doing real healthcare reform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the difference would be that more people would be saying incorrectly, oh, she's wonderful, she's doing wonderful things, and there would not be resistance to it.
I am perplexed at how Democratic voters still, because Republican Party, I threw the Republican Party away years ago. They're just gone. They don't even exist in my mind. It's just like they're MAGA. They're gone. They're never coming back. They just are what they are. But I held out a little hope for Democrats falsely, because I thought with this election, more people were going to speak against the genocide in Gaza and in Congo. Let's not forget about Congo.
Yes. And Sudan.
And the Sudan. Exactly. That didn't happen. And it's like they doubled down on it. I'm like, did I miss something? I feel like I missed something.
Yeah, and there were people abiding by the rules, patiently waiting at the Democratic National Convention, Islamic voters, Palestinian American voters who were Democrats, playing by the rules, patiently waiting to have their turn to say something during the Democratic National Convention, and that was denied to them.
And again, you have to wonder, it's like, how do you let them play in your face? They are playing literally in your face, and you're letting them.
Yeah.
Look at what happened with David Hogg. He's trying to make changes. I say he's going to conform and not make those changes, but even him talking about primarying some of the people that have been in there my entire lifetime has gotten them like all up in, like, this party is not, it's non-redeemable to me. And I think people should put their effort into the Justice for All Party, one, because we want to hear your voices, right? We want to know what concerns you. This isn't just some autocratic, this is what you're going to do and this is who you're going to vote for. No, we want you to have a process in it. Talk about that a little bit. Why should someone who's just like, they want to support the Democrat, why should they leave that system and then convert over to Justice for All?
Well, it depends what they want. If you just want to promote the Democratic Party, then sure, by all means, be a Democrat. But if you care about issues and if you have moral values, to me, public policy is about moral values in action at the level of the municipality, at the level of the polis, town, city, state, nation, world, that kind of thing. So if that's what you care about, then by all means vote for a politician or a candidate who will support those values, who's committed to those values in public policy. Don't be voting for a party.
That is a very concise answer, Barbara, I want to thank you. I know, guys, y'all used to the 1 hour and 30-minute conversations, but tonight is Hangout Saturday. So that means I got to end this podcast, jump over there. But keep in mind this, June the 7th, there will not be a Justice for All, Justice is Here podcast. There will not be. Instead, I'm going to do what I've done every June since I started my YouTube channel, and that is to have a Black voter forum. All Black voters. We got Democratic voters. We got independent voters. We tried to find a Trump supporter, but we could not find a Black female that would admit that she voted for Trump. But we're going to have that discussion instead. But I still want you to mark it on your calendars because it's going to be really, really insightful. It's going to be all female this year. This is the first time I've ever done with all females. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Mark your calendars for that. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Share this podcast with all your friends, your frenemies, your cousin, the lady down the street with too many cats. Just share it, share it, share it. Get the Justice for All message out there. Visit the website at justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us. I will see you next week. Barbara, is there anything you want to say in conclusion?
Well, just keep the faith, keep acting in the ways of justice. Let's make it happen. And thank you so much, Tracy. I really appreciate that you having me on this podcast. I love your title, Justice is Here. It raises my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. The invitation is always extended. I extend to all my guests to come back, and you're going to be added to that list. So don't be like, well, Barbara, could you do this for me? So we're going to end it there. Thank you all. I'm going to play the outro. I'm going to head over to the other chat, and we'll see you. I will actually see you tomorrow at 6:00 p.m. It's the Saturday show combination Tracy and review week. Because I didn't do a Saturday show today. I decided to clean the house from top to bottom, and I got really tired. So I'm going to do it tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'll see you all then. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us.